The sun beat down, hot and unforgiving, on a desolate Florida roadside. Inside a tour bus, band members, road-weary and half asleep, sought refuge from the morning heat. Little did they know, just outside, a tragedy was unfolding that would forever alter the course of rock and roll, silencing one of its brightest stars in a flash of fire and twisted metal. It was a moment of horrifying, senseless chaos that claimed the life of a quiet, unassuming guitar virtuoso who was just beginning to redefine the sound of heavy metal, Randy Rhoads. Born Randall William Rhoads on December 6, 1956 in Santa Monica, California, Randy was the youngest of 3 children in a family steeped in music. Both his parents were music teachers. When Randy was just 17 months old, his father left the family and remarried, leaving his mother, Dolores, to raise their 3 children alone. To support her family, Dolores opened her own music school, Musonia, in North Hollywood. This proved to be a pivotal decision, as Musonia became Randy's entire world, a sanctuary of sound where his mother also taught him to read music, and where he first picked up a folk guitar at the tender age of 7. From an early age, Randy was captivated by the melodies of bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, which soon led him to gravitate towards the electric guitar. His prodigious talent quickly became evident. It wasn't long before his electric guitar teacher, Scott Shelley, candidly informed Randy's mother that he could no longer teach the boy, as Randy had simply surpassed his instructor's abilities. Randy's early life was a tapestry woven with melodies. In a home without a stereo, he and his brother often created their own music. To build a solid theoretical foundation, Randy also took piano lessons. Guitarists like Glenn Buxton, Mick Ronson, and Leslie West were major influences on his playing style in those formative years. Randy also dabbled in various short-lived bands with intriguing names such as The Whore, Violet Fox, the Katzenjammer Kids, and Mildred Pierce. In junior high, Randy found his only close friend in Kelly Garney. Both were considered outsiders by their peers, viewed as weird and not belonging to typical cliques. But this shared experience allowed them to connect and forge their own world where their passion for music was nurtured. A watershed moment arrived on July 11, 1971, when Randy attended an Alice Cooper concert with his brother at the Long Beach Auditorium. Randy's brother later described it as a life-changing event, as Randy seemed almost mesmerized, seeing his own future reflected in Alice Cooper's theatrical performance. Randy quickly sped through high school, eager to fully dedicate himself to his craft. He began teaching at his mother's music school, but the call of the stage was his true desire. Soon after, he assembled a group of musicians, Kelly Garney, Kevin Dubrow, and Drew Forsythe, and thus Quiet Riot was born. They rapidly became a sensation in the vibrant Los Angeles club scene. Randy himself became known for his distinctive love of polka dots, which appeared not only on his clothing, but also on his guitars. Fans began to emulate his style, sporting polka-dotted attire in tribute. By 1976, Quiet Riot had signed a record deal with CBS, Sony Records, releasing 2 albums in 1978. However, in a perplexing decision by the record company, these albums were only released in Japan, despite the band's immense popularity in Los Angeles. Life within Quiet Riot, the band that launched Randy Rhoads' career, was a cauldron of creativity and conflict. The Los Angeles music scene in the late 1970s was vibrant but cutthroat, and the band's internal dynamics were anything but harmonious. Tension simmered, particularly between bassist Kelly Garney and lead singer Kevin Dubrow, whose clashing personalities created a volatile atmosphere. The friction reached a breaking point one fateful night when Garney, heavily intoxicated, escalated their feud to a dangerous level. In a fit of rage, he fired a gun at Dubrow, an act that shocked the band. The situation deteriorated further when Garney physically clashed with Randy, his childhood friend, and chillingly confessed his intent to murder Dubrow in the recording studio. For Randy, a soft-spoken and disciplined musician, this was a betrayal of trust and a stark reminder of the chaos that could engulf the rock lifestyle. Faced with Garney's spiraling violence, Randy made the heart-wrenching decision to fire his longtime friend, a choice that carried immense emotional weight. The dismissal fractured their bond and marked a turning point for Randy, forcing him to confront the darker realities of the music industry. Amid this turmoil, a life-altering opportunity emerged. In 1979, Ozzy Osbourne, recently ousted from Black Sabbath, arrived in Los Angeles to rebuild his career. Determined to form a new band, he was on the hunt for exceptional talent. Dana Strum, a bassist and friend of Randy's, recognized the young guitarist's prodigious skill and urged him to audition for Osbourne. Randy, however, was hesitant, loyal to Quiet Riot and skeptical about leaving his band for an uncertain venture. He initially resisted. Accounts of the audition vary, adding a layer of legend to the moment. Randy later claimed he never even met Osbourne during the tryout, suggesting a casual, almost accidental encounter. Osbourne, however, painted a dramatic picture, famously declaring that he hired Randy on the spot after hearing just a few notes of his virtuosic playing. What is certain is that a pivotal jam session with Osbourne, Strum, and drummer Frankie Banali showcased Randy's extraordinary talent. Quiet Riot, despite their local popularity, had struggled to secure a U.S. record deal, while Osbourne was a proven star with a global following. For Randy, the choice became clear. Joining Osbourne offered a platform to share his music with a wider audience, a chance to transcend the limitations of the L.A. club scene. Randy's journey to England, where Osbourne was based, hit an immediate obstacle. Lacking the proper immigration paperwork, he was detained at Heathrow Airport upon arrival, a humiliating setback that led to his deportation back to the U.S. Osbourne. Ever the charismatic showman personally called Randy to apologize, promising to resolve the issue. With proper documentation secured, Randy returned to England on November 27, 1979, stepping into a new chapter of his life. He moved into the home of Osbourne and his then wife, Thelma Riley, immersing himself in the whirlwind of a rock star's world. The band soon took shape with the addition of drummer Lee Kerslake, formerly of Uriah Heep, and bassist Bob Daisley, a seasoned musician with a knack for songwriting. Together they adopted the name The Blizzard of Oz, a moniker that captured the chaotic, larger-than-life energy of their frontman. The release of their debut album, Blizzard of Oz, in 1980 was a seismic event in the world of heavy metal. Randy's innovative guitar work, blending neoclassical flourishes with raw, aggressive riffs, redefined the genre. Tracks like Crazy Train, with its iconic opening riff, and Mr. Crowley, with its haunting, classically inspired solo, showcased his ability to merge technical precision with emotional depth. The album was a commercial triumph, particularly in the U.S., where it resonated with a new generation of metal fans. Randy's playing earned him widespread acclaim, with guitarists and fans alike marveling at his speed, melodic sensibility, and compositional flair. He topped guitar polls, including being voted Best New Talent by Guitar Player magazine readers. The follow-up album, Diary of a Madman, 1981, further cemented his legacy. Its intricate arrangements and ambitious scope, exemplified by the title track's gothic grandeur, push the boundaries of heavy metal, establishing Randy as a visionary artist. Behind the scenes, however, tensions brewed. Randy formed a close professional relationship with Sharon Arden, Osborne's manager and future wife, who played a pivotal role in steering the band's success. Yet her decision to fire Kerslake and Daisley, key contributors to the band's sound, infuriated Randy. The dismissals felt like a betrayal of the camaraderie he valued, pushing him to consider leaving the band. Kerslake urged him to stay, recognizing Randy's integral role in their success, but the guitarist's frustration grew. Beyond the internal conflicts, Randy was grappling with a deeper restlessness. He began to envision a different path, one that diverged from the frenetic world of heavy metal. Inspired by his love for classical music, he contemplated enrolling at UCLA to study classical guitar formally, a pursuit that reflected his disciplined, scholarly approach to music. During the band's tours, he sought out classical guitar teachers, eager to refine his technique and explore new artistic horizons. Life on the road with Osborne was a grueling test of endurance. Osborne's excessive drinking and erratic behavior often disrupted performances, with the frontman occasionally refusing to take the stage. For Randy, a reserved and professional musician, these disruptions were disheartening. He began to plan his exit, intending to leave the band once his contractual obligations were fulfilled. The breaking point came during discussions about a proposed live album featuring Black Sabbath songs. Randy and drummer Tommy Aldridge vehemently opposed the idea, viewing it as a regression that undermined their creative contributions. Their refusal sparked a furious reaction from Osborne, who fired the entire band in a fit of rage, though he later claimed to have no recollection of the incident. Osborne even threatened to replace Randy with high-profile guitarists, a move that underscored the volatile environment. For Randy, whose quiet demeanor and disciplined work ethic stood in stark contrast to the band's chaos, the situation became increasingly untenable. Beyond his musical genius, Randy Rhoads was a man of fascinating contradictions. At just 5 feet 7 inches and 105 pounds, he was a diminutive figure whose commanding stage presence belied his physical stature. Offstage, he was introspective and reserved, with a surprising passion for collecting toy trains, a hobby that seemed at odds with his heavy metal persona. Unlike many rock stars of the era, Randy lived a remarkably clean lifestyle. He abstained from drugs and drank sparingly, occasionally indulging in anisette, a licorice-flavored liqueur. However, he was a heavy smoker, a habit that stood out in his otherwise disciplined routine. His former bandmate Kelly Garney noted that Randy's aversion to drugs stemmed from observing the destructive excesses of Osborne's all-night parties. According to his brother Kelly, Randy was a devout Lutheran, a quiet faith that provided an anchor amidst the hedonism of the rock world. This spiritual grounding, combined with his relentless dedication to his craft, set him apart as a singular figure in the music industry. Randy's final performance took place on March 18, 1982, at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum in Tennessee, a show that showcased his electrifying talent and magnetic stage presence. The following day, the band embarked on a long bus journey to Orlando, Florida, for the Rock Super Bowl 14 festival. Their travel was disrupted when the tour bus's air conditioning unit failed, forcing them to stop at Flying Baron Estates in Leesburg, Florida, a property equipped with a small airfield. The bus driver, Andrew Aycock, a licensed private pilot, made a reckless decision to take a single-engine Beechcraft Bonanza for an unauthorized joyride. His first flight carried keyboardist Don Airy and tour manager Jake Duncan, during which Aycock dangerously buzzed the tour bus in an attempt to rouse drummer Tommy Aldridge, who was asleep inside. Randy, despite a well-documented fear of flying, was persuaded to join Aycock for a second flight, accompanied by the band's seamstress, Rachel Youngblood. Aycock assured them he would fly cautiously, aware of Youngblood's heart condition. Tragically, he broke that promise. On their third attempt to buzz the bus, the plane's wing clipped the vehicle's roof, shearing off part of the wing. The aircraft spiraled out of control, striking a pine tree before crashing into the garage of a nearby mansion, where it erupted into flames. The impact was catastrophic. Randy, 25, Aycock, 36, and Youngblood, 58, perished instantly. The crash was so devastating that Randy's body was identifiable only through dental records and his personal jewelry, a grim testament to the violence of the accident. Don R.A., the only band member to witness the crash, later recounted a haunting detail. He saw a struggle between Randy and Aycock in the cockpit moments before the plane went down, raising questions about the final seconds of the flight. Ozzy Osbourne, asleep on the bus, was jolted awake by the explosion and frantically sought help, grappling with the surreal horror of the scene. Sharon Osbourne, who arrived shortly after, described a nightmarish aftermath with debris and human remains scattered across the site. Randy's girlfriend, Jody Raskin, learned of the tragedy through a radio broadcast, a cruelly impersonal way to receive such devastating news. Investigations into the crash revealed troubling details about Aycock's conduct. His aviation medical certificate had expired, rendering him unfit to fly legally. Furthermore, he had a history of reckless behavior, having been involved in a fatal plane crash in the United Arab Emirates 6 years earlier. A toxicology report confirmed the presence of cocaine in his system, compounded by severe sleep deprivation, factors that likely impaired his judgment. A disturbing theory emerged in the aftermath. Some speculated that Aycock intentionally aimed the plane at the bus to target his estranged wife, Wanda Hears, who was standing near the bus door. This hypothesis gained traction due to Aries' account of a struggle in the cockpit, suggesting that Randy's actions may have inadvertently prevented a direct hit on the bus, potentially sparing the lives of others on board. Randy's funeral was held at the First Lutheran Church in Burbank, California, a solemn gathering that reflected his quiet faith and the profound loss felt by his family, friends, and fans. He was laid to rest at Mountain View Cemetery in San Bernardino, California, his hometown, where his grave remains a pilgrimage site for admirers of his music. Randy Rhoads' death at the age of 25 was a tragedy that reverberated through the music world, cutting short a career that was still ascending. Yet his legacy endures with remarkable vitality. Widely regarded as a pioneer of heavy metal, Randy introduced a neoclassical guitar style that fused technical virtuosity with melodic sophistication, influencing countless guitarists in the 1980s and beyond. His solos, characterized by rapid scalar runs, intricate arpeggios, and emotive phrasing, became a blueprint for the genre. Techniques such as two-handed tapping and harmonic minor scales, which he popularized, are now staples of heavy metal guitar playing. His influence is reflected in his posthumous accolades, ranked 36th, later 21st, in 2023, in Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Guitarists, 4th in Guitar World's 100 Greatest Heavy Metal Guitarists, and 26th in their 50 Fastest Guitarists. Randy's impact extended beyond his performances. Just before his death, Jackson Guitars developed the Jackson Randy Rhoads, a signature model that became one of the most iconic instruments in metal music. Marshall Amplification honored him with the Marshall 1959 RR, a 100-watt super lead amplifier built to his specifications, a testament to his meticulous approach to tone. His mother, Dolores Rhoads, channeled her grief into preserving his legacy, establishing the Randy Rhoads Scholarship Fund at California State University, Northridge, which supports aspiring guitarists. In 2021, Randy was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a recognition of his transformative contributions. His 2017 induction into the Heavy Metal History Hall of Fame further underscored his role in defining the genre's lead guitar sound. Randy Rhoads' story is a poignant meditation on the fragility of life and the enduring power of artistic brilliance. He was a quiet, introspective soul navigating the excesses of rock stardom, a disciplined musician who remained true to his craft. His ambition was not merely to play louder or faster, but to weave the elegance of classical music into the raw intensity of heavy metal, creating a sound that was both revolutionary and timeless. In his brief but incandescent career, he achieved that vision, leaving behind a body of work that continues to inspire and captivate. His life, like a supernova, burned brightly and briefly, but the light he cast on the world of music shines on, a testament to a true original.